Hello YouTube, this is Dr. Ronald W. Satz, founder and chair of the International Society of Unified Science and president of TransPower Corporation, a commercial and custom software manufacturing and certified systems engineering company with the largest selection of decision support software you can purchase anywhere. And as usual today we're going to talk about the reciprocal system of physical theory, which is the true theory of the universe. Cover two topics briefly. First will be on powerful jets coming out of the galactic center, and the second will be on interstellar wind. So let's look at the first one, powerful jets coming out of the galactic center, and we'll go to Science Daily, which is a source for the latest research news. And briefly it says here, astronomers using a worldwide network of radio telescopes have found strong evidence that a powerful jet of material propelled to nearly light speed by a galaxy's central black hole is blowing massive amounts of gas out of the galaxy. This process, they said, is limiting the growth of the black hole and the rate of star formation in the galaxy, and thus is the key to understanding how galaxies develop. Well, black holes are just a fiction of the modern physicists' imagination and nonsense. So I say here, and this is from my WordPress blog, which is now www.reciprocalsystem.guru. I say, one of the scientists involved says that the jets are, quote, black hole powered. This is very, very funny. Nothing's supposed to come out of a black hole. Of course, according to the reciprocal system of theory, black holes are purely imaginary. Yes, galactic centers are very dense. We say that they have, quote, white dwarf cores. The jets come from supernovae type 2 from the stars in or around the core. By the way, these jets are in the third dimension of motion. Whereas conventional physics says there is only one dimension of motion, the reciprocal system says that there are 3 dimensions of motion. And the jets are from the third dimension. Galaxies in this condition are self-destructing. If a chunk of stars is blown out, we have a quasar. If not, then we have just these jets. Now this is interesting. I got some comments on this. So let's look at the comments briefly. And the question is from Andyd, A-N-D-Y-D. He says, if there's no black hole at the galactic center, what are these stars orbiting? Okay, so let's scroll down here. He says, your take on this would be appreciated. And I respond, the center of our galaxy now is comprised of a white dwarf core. That is a core which is the equivalent of millions of white dwarf stars. Atoms in the reciprocal system are the size of nuclei in conventional theory. So there's no smushing of the atoms together. So yes, it's very dense there, but it's not a singularity. In fact, singularities do not exist in the reciprocal system. What goes in eventually comes out, either in the form of jets or quasars, and the galaxy reaches the end of its life. And then I give a quote here from Larson, page 370, The Universe of Motion. Thus, the high density of the central regions of the larger galaxies is not due to the presence of unusual concentrations of very dense objects, but to the distortion of the scale of the reference system that results from the high speeds of the normal constituents of the galactic interiors. The cores of these galaxies are in the same physical condition as the white dwarf stars and the quasars. That is, their density is abnormally high because introduction of the time displacement of the upper range speeds, that's 2 and 3, has reduced the equivalent space occupied by the central portions of the galaxies. In brief, we may say that the reason for the abnormal density in the older and larger galaxies is that these galaxies have white dwarf cores, not white dwarfs in the core, but cores in which the constituent stars and particles are in the same condition as the constituent particles of a white dwarf star. And here's a nice comment here. I venture that this article will save me more time than any other. So that was very nice, Jeannie. All right, so let's go back. Now we'll look at interstellar wind. And, well, let's go to the article first. This is, again, from Science Daily, which is a great source for the latest research news from conventional scientists, shall we say. So it says here in summary, scientists have discovered that the particles streaming into the solar system from interstellar space have likely changed direction over the last 40 years. And it goes on and on. But the good thing here is that they at least recognize that there is some inflow, not just the solar wind outflow. So the caption of this picture says, this image shows the nearest interstellar gas clouds around the solar system, including the local interstellar cloud LIC and G cloud, along with positions of neighboring stars in the plane of our Milky Way galaxy. The arrow shows the sun's motion relative to the neighboring stars. So at least they recognize that particles are streaming in. So that's actually progress. So we'll go back. And I say here, the sun's corona constantly loses gas into the solar wind. Most theoreticians, that is my opponents in theoretical physics, believe that stars lose mass with time, whereas theoreticians of the reciprocal system believe that there must be a net flow of matter into the sun so that the sun gradually moves up the main sequence, not staying put and not going down. This implies that the interstellar wind into the sun must be on net greater than that of the solar wind out. Larson states the case very clearly in The Structure of the Physical Universe, his 1959 opus. Quote, in recent years, astronomers have begun to appreciate that a downward course is not the only possibility, and it is now generally agreed that the stars within dense dust clouds are acquiring enough material by accretion from the surroundings to more than compensate for the loss of matter by radiation and coronal mass ejections, I might add, and are actually growing hotter and more massive. We thus recognize that the direction of evolution along the main sequence is not necessarily downward, as formerly believed. The net movement is the resultant of two opposing forces, the loss of material or its equivalent by radiation, and the gain in mass due to accretion. The conclusions of this present work are that the amount of interstellar matter and potential matter is considerably greater than has heretofore been realized, and there is a substantial accretion even where nothing more than the general interstellar haze is present. So there we have it. Study the reciprocal system and prove it for yourself. For the simplest possible treatment, see my book, The Unmysterious Universe. For the most advanced treatment, study my work, Existence and Interactions, a computational treatise of the reciprocal system, the true theory of everything. This contains thousands and thousands of equations. And if you want to apply the reciprocal system to your scientific or engineering business, you can obtain my two database modules, the Reciprocal System Microcosmos module and the Reciprocal System Macrocosmos module. This makes it very easy to apply the theory. And believe me, there's nothing like this in conventional physics. And as usual, thanks for your attention.